Alright. It's your Glasgow Genuine here, Celtic Maddie and Scottish Rebel. Again with my flag of Scotland. Pure peach, isn't it? Pure peach, man. Alright. So, ask you a question, my fellow Celtic fans. Do you think Celtic win today's game? We know what's down below my video. 6 games left, but Green Brigade has just came back after suspension. I don't know how they were suspended, man. I fucking don't know. They were the very heart of Celtic, the very core in that Green Brigade, and I think that's no accidental that they are back just now. We have 6 games left this season, so I think that means something. It's a real support for Celtic, and if I truly believe that, despite Chris Sutton and Mulgrew comments that Celtic don't want win the title, despite these comments, I dare to say that I strongly believe, as a fan, that Celtic win the title. If we go together, if we connect together, if we join together, the Celtic fans and the Green Brigade, and help our boys, I'm sure they win, because all the support is needed, and the best support is for fans and the Green Brigade. Come again. So, still fingers crossed. Alright, Scotland. Alright, man. As you know, I'd love to sum it up, you know, because the campaign has started. So the Scottish Parliament elections. And I'd love to say a few words. As you know, I'd love Scotland to be out for UK. I'm for the Yes for Scotland movement. I believe in Scotland. I love Scotland. I believe in independent Scotland and freed Scotland, freed for English clutches. I do believe that. And my dears, I'd love to see a day when Scotland will be freed again. At last, man. Because it can't be that way. That the English they just ignoring everything Scottish, ignoring Scotland, ignore Scottish law, ignore Scottish people, ignore Scottish votes, ignore Scotland's voice in every single matter. It's not just in one single matter as elections, no, in every single matter, you know. And what's worse, the Scottish Parliament is dependent on, surprise, Westminster, and 50%. So that's no use. That can't be that way. Enough is enough, man. Westminster can't reign Scotland. Scotland is a Scotland. Let me tell you this. Scotland is a country. We big, to me it's big, pure special country. Not just a place, not just a county, not a fucking, you know, whatever, something else. No, Scotland should be a kingdom. Scotland is a country, and better treat Scotland this way. As you know, the English, the Act of Union was fortified in 1707 and in 1708. The Act of Union was imposed on Scotland. You have to do so. Alright? Another thing is, United Pish. What's it United Pish about? United about what? See, Scotland's people, Scotland's humour, Scotland's language, traditions, customs, politics, culture, heritage, history. Is it the same as fucking England? No. It's all United Pish about. I'm saying, what's the united mean? Because in my opinion, it means pish, is nothing. And Scotland was imposed to do so. Imposed to sign a fucking Act of Union. So it's no use. Plus, I'm going to mention that after about claim of right, Scotland should use that document for 1689 and Declaration of Arbroath for 1320s. Scotland should use these two documents, pure precious, pure crucial, to improve that they can be independent country. You know, Scotland should be an independent country without begging for it. Westminster, we beg you, please, we have to be independent. No, it can't be that way. Scotland should be fucking independent and freed without a question mark, without doubt. No reign of English rats for Westminster. No. You have to put a line here. Enough is enough, man. Scotland should be freed. Coming back to elections now, as you know, SNP party, I was watching some podcasts for National Gazette National newspaper, the national newspaper. It's a newspaper which supports the independent Scotland for independence. I did a wee poll, and asked Scots how they vote. So, as you know, SNP got predictions 67 seats. If this is true, they got a majority. They joined together with a Green Party, I think, a Scottish Party, and Labour's be smashed to death, man. But SNP means referendum for Scotland, referendum for independence. So, caring for Scottish things, caring for Scottish people, caring for Scotland, in all the way that matters, you know, in every single way. So, I stand and look at this election one, and I just, I see numbers in their own, so historically recalled, but I'm hard to ignore, you know, because Scotland is pure special. The Scottish National Party, as you know, just starting around, as I said, 67 is just enough to edge over the majority, you know, line. And if it holds, it keeps John Swinney firmly in place as First Minister. Now, alongside with him as the Scottish Greens, adding their strength, the pro-independence side, it could once again control the Parliament. So after all these years in power, man, there's still the ones is in the place and that, you know, the numbers, everyone else is cheesing. Behind him, it's the second time in history that SNP party won winning elections. Man, it's never happened, it's got the majority, you know. Behind them, though, that picture shifts. It's because, not in a strong way, Scottish Labour are projected to take very few seats, man. They are smashed. Possible none at constituency level. So, which says everything about where they're riding now. The Scottish Conservatives could fall into historically low support. Their presence shrinking rather than growing. And that fragmentation, that lack of solid challenge, you know, is exactly what allows SNP to keep their grip. Then comes the disruption. Reforms UK could surge around 20 seats. Potentially, man. Making them the second largest party now. That's no small shift now. It's completely new force getting it. Space in Scottish politics. So, particularly on one right, where a kind of presence hasn't existed before, man. You know. Here's your Scottish rebel here and warrior. There comes for the disruption that Reform UK surged around 20 states now, potentially making it the second largest party, you know. At the same time, The Scottish Greens are expected to increase their seat count and meet even at their first constituency seat. So, but the race isn't without friction. So that is a controversial position. Positions for present policy tickles around by horse racing, and as their growth comes for a resistance much as a support man. So, and there is a politics. The figures are just try to speak directly to people's lives. The SNP are pushing the idea of giving renters the first chance to buy their homes. The Labour are proposing £30 million to support artists and creatives. See what I mean? An attempt to ground themselves in culture and community. When I take all that in 67 seats, so I had this 20 seats sergeant, £30 million pledge. What I'm really left with is something much simpler. This election will only be decided by numbers alone. Even if the shape, the battlefield, if we decided, what those numbers mean in real life. The cost of living, the pressure on housing, the strain on public services. So that's how, for me, this all is the point in the one direction. So the SNP remain out in front. It's not because everything is perfect, because it's not, of course not, but because no one else has yet found the strength or the unity to truly challenge them, So, when all that's said done, I don't see that election driven by ideology or so much as shaped it necessarily. And in the space, with the opposition divided and uncertain, the SNP remain exactly where they've been for years, out in front. With everyone else trying to catch up on Queen Mansion gets. So, let's move on to another point. I just can't look at the race of SNP without saying that a question that always follows them, independence. That's the crucial question now, because if SNP wins the Scottish Parliament election on 7th of May, they're going to push for independence. They're Scotland to be free at last, So, and the possibility of another referendum is to believe 2028. They don't. If they do reach on that 67 seat mark or anything else, close to it, it wouldn't just be another victory on paper. It becomes something that key points. So there's a mandate, but a renewed argument that Scotland matters. Once again, pleased. It's trust in the party whose central purpose is independence. And with Scottish Greens like adding to the pro-independence majority, the pressure to act on the mandate only grows stronger. And if another no pro-independent party joined Liberation Scotland and a campaign of Believe in Scotland movement, yes for Scotland, I think Scotland will be freed at last month. And I think here, I've just been at elections just for being routine to some more significant, because for SNP, winning isn't just about staying in power. It's about keeping the independence question alive, pushing it forward, and refusing to let it fade into the background. Of course not. It's not a sample. It's winning seats and calling a vote. So the reality is far more complicated. So like barriers and political resistance, Westminster rats, but the ongoing debate about whether conditions are right politically. I gives them some powerful momentum and a reason to keep asking the question. So when I see those numbers, I don't just see a party heading for another term. I see the possibility, of the independence debate being reignited once again. It's because perhaps not immensely in action, but certainly in intent. And it means that election is just about who governs Scotland next. It's about whether the conversation about its future as a nation takes another step forward. And I want to put the words for Flower of Scotland anthem. which are truly crucial, I think, and close to my heart. In Scotland, we can still rise now and be a nation again. So I hope that these words will come into reality, show that Scotland can be an independent country without begging for it. And I strongly hope so. Hope so. Because as what I repeat it once again, Scotland is not a county. It's not just a place. It's a country. Proud, special country. And it should be, has to be independent and freed at fucking last, you know. I also wanted to mention about that Scotland can use claim of right for 1689, as I mentioned about that. So I have to tell you about something. What this document actually holds in that I'm talking about. The Scottish claim of right wasn't written out of thin air in 1689. Scotland can use it, you know. Well, having a square goal for independence. It's an older Scottish constitutional tradition. That Scotland was a distinct kingdom with its own laws, own parliament, 100% dependent on Scotland, and Scotland's voice matters. And a crown limited by law. Oath in the constitution of the realm. Also has been arrayed its own language, not flattened into modern posh English. Westminster, you know. This was early modern Scots legal language, where words like constitution and the way the claim carried for more legal weight, and I just often do know. So when the claim of right said James VII had invaded the fundamental constitution of the kingdom and changed a fake legal limited monarchy into arbitrary power, it wasn't using oaths rhetoric. It was describing a breed of Scotland's settled constitutional order. The claim of right was first declared by a convention of estates, and then in the same meeting just for a lawful a free parliament in June 1689. But it matters. This wasn't a political pamphlet. It was carrying out a constitutional machinery of the Scottish state itself. But Scotland is not a state. Scotland is not just a place. It's not a county, man. Scotland is a country. I repeat it once again. Pure proud, special country. This is how the Scottish Parliament in 1703 made a hate reason to alter and innovate a claim of right and the article thereof. And this is how in 1704 the Act of Security spoke of defending the honour of sovereignty of this crown kingdom and the freedom, frequency and power of parliaments. But 1706 opponents of union were arguing exactly on the basis of incorporating union, where parliament of both kingdoms was contrary to Scotland, and the Awesome Constitution that contrary to claim of right itself. So the real issue is not whether Scotland's sovereignty, the Constitution, were left vague or unimportant. They're treated as fundamental. The real issue is the Parliament, but understood by many of that time, not as a honour Scotland's sovereignty. But as the Guardian, on the writing is bound to preserve Scotland's constitutional order, not extinguish it. That's the fucking right, man. It's pure right. So, Scotland. It's our bonny, pure special country. We have to do everything in our power to make it happen. To make Scotland be independent and freed at last. I'm telling you this, Scottish rebel and Scottish warrior. Right, I'm starting my series talking about history of Scotland. So the day I want to start with Glencoe Massacre. As you remember Glencoe Massacre. As you remember Clan Wars. That was really an attack of Clan Campbell's and Clan MacDonald. So let me start with that. The Glencoe Massacre, as you know, is one of the most infamous and emotionally charged events in Scottish history. remembered as much for brutality as there a betrayal behind it. What happened? In the early hours of 13th of February 1692, government troops turned on their hosts in the remote Highland Valley of Glencoe. Members of the Clan MacDonald of Glencoe. Around 30-40 MacDonalds were killed immediately, including their chief, Alistair MacIan. Many members just died for exposure after fleeing the mountains in middle winter. Their homes were burned. What me is especially shocking one was the soldiers had lived with the MacDonalds for nearly 2 weeks, enjoying their hospitality and their Highland customs before carrying out the attack. Why it happened, you know. The massacre was rooted in political tension following the glorious revolution that when the Catholic King James VII of Scotland, who was overthrown and replaced by Protestant rulers William III of England and Mary II. To stabilise the Highlands, a new government demanded that the clan chiefs swear an allegiance of William and Mary, 1st January 1692. So the MacDonalds of Glencoe were right in taking the oath. Chief Alistair MacIan didn't attempt to swear later, but he first went to the wrong official, then had to travel through harsh winter conditions with the correct authority of Inverary. He finally took the oath on the 6th of January 1692, which is this passing deadline. Despite this, the government decided to make an example of them. So the role of the government. The massacre wasn't just a local feud. State sanctioned. Orders were issued at authority of John Dalrymple, Secretary of State for Scotland. The troops were led by officers, including Robert Campbell of Glencoe. Dalrymple saw the punishment of Glencoe as a way, you know, to intimidate other Highland clans and enforce obedience to the fucking crown. So kill the MacDonalds under 70, ensure no one escapes. Why seen as a betrayal? So in Highland culture, let me explain this, alright? Hospitality was sacred, alright? But accepting shelter, food and protection, the soldiers were bound by trust. Breaking that trust turned the killings into something far worse than military action. So it became an act of treachery. This is how Glencoe is remembered, not just as a massacre, but as a murder under trust. What is aftermath or legacy? The news of a massacre caused outrage. Of course, the news of a massacre caused outrage across Scotland. A later inquiry, 1695, acknowledged wrongdoing, but largely avoided serious punishment for those responsible. It even deepened the distrust between the Highlands and the government. The day Glencoe stands as a symbol of betrayal and injustice, a powerful part of the Scottish national memory and identity. So let me add a wee word for me about Glencoe Massacre. So there are moments in Scottish history that feel heavy, that moment here, speaking it out loud now. The Massacre of Glencoe is one of them. It isn't just an event, it's a wound. I always found myself going quiet when I think about it, because this wasn't simply violence in a time full of violence, not. This was something colder, something calculated, something that cut right through the verse of a Highland life. Because in February 1692, in the hauntingly beautiful glen, the MacDonalds of Glencoe were living as the way it had, as a place harsh, as was breathtaking, where survival depended on kinship, trust, and the unwritten codes that bound people together. Among these codes, on stood were else hospitality. So, if someone came to your door in Highlands, you took them in. No questions, no hesitation, man. You fed them, sheltered them, protected them. And that's exactly what the MacDonalds did. Government soldiers arrived in Glencoe, were welcomed in. They stayed for nearly 2 weeks in that, had either MacDonald's table, shared a bit of warm by their fires, there have been conversation maybe even after. A false sense of normality. but day by day. All the while, eldership already been given. Because this story doesn't begin in Glencoe. It begins in the shifting, uneasy politics of Britain. After a king was overthrown and replaced, the Highlands, as ever, were seen as a problem to be managed. Clan chiefs were ordered to swear loyalty to the new monarchs by a strict deadline. So the MacDonalds were late, no defend, no rebellions, just late. Their chief didn't make that journey to swear it off, banning winter and the confusion, even going first and wrong official before finally completing it. It was done, the loyalty was given, but it wasn't enough. So somewhere far for the Glen, men in power decided an example next to be made, and Glencoe, remote, vulnerable, politically expendable, became the chosen target. The orders were clear, brutal, final. And so, in the very early hours of 13th of February, the soldiers rose. This is the part that never leaves me, because this wasn't a battle. There was no warning, no chance to defend. They meant they were big, smart killers in the dark. They turned to very people who had fed them. Around almost 38, 40 MacDonalds were murdered, but they stood or slept, including their chief. Others fled into the night, into snow and storm, with nothing. Many of them didn't survive the cold. The Glen itself seemed to turn against them, swallowing the slain, the grieving, the broken. Homes were burnt, lives were erased. All that carried under orders for governments, no chaos, no accident, no intent. This is how Glencoe endures in the way it does. Not just because people died, but because something sacred was violated. Trust was weaponized, hospitality, the deeply rooted Highland code, was used as a trap. So even years later, there was an inquiry. Questions were asked, their blame was gladly acknowledged. Nothing truly came of it. No justice, no reckoning. Alright? Maybe that's a part of how it still lingers. Because Glencoe isn't just about the past, it's about what happens when power decides that some lives are expendable. It's about what betrayal looks like when it wears a friendly face for long enough. Well, I think the Glencoe now, I just don't think that of the massacre. I think of the signs that must have followed. The smoke hanging in the air. The snow marked the footsteps that led nowhere. The kind of grave that doesn't fade, it settles. So and even the day when you stand in the Glen, you can feel it. That nostalgia, that atmosphere. Not just the beauty, but memory. Alright, so I just wanted to announce that my next video, as I said, in my post will be on 16th of April. I devote my video to the Battle of Culloden, the next dark period in Scottish history. As I said, I'm starting a series of history of Scotland, so that'll be the next one, because the 218th anniversary is looming on the horizon. 280th anniversary of the Battle of Culloden is looming on the horizon. So, on 16th of April, 1746. So, I record a wee video devoted to the Battle of Culloden on 16th of April. I do my wee speech and I share you my pure special poem, alright? So, your Glasgow genuine, Celtic Maddie, and Scottish rebel wants to say, see you on 16th of April. Do the game. Have a pure lovely afternoon.